Shalom, shalom, Israel. First off, giving our praises to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh. Today's class, the Sub Saharan slave trade. We're going to deal with this slave trade today. We very seldomly talk about this slave trade, but it has a big part to do with our captivity also. So let's go ahead. We're going to start with Romans 13 and 11. Let me get there with you. Go ahead,
All right. The book of Romans, chapter 13 and verse 11.
Read.
And that, knowing the time.
See, Israel needs to pay attention to the time, to what's going on. You got to watch how life has progressed this way through the Bible. How all the curses and all the words of the Bible are coming to pass. Read on.
That now it is high time to awake.
To what?
To awake.
It's time to wake up, Israel. A lot of us, we are not looking and seeing exactly what's happening out here. Read.
Out of sleep.
Out of what?
Out of sleep.
Many of our people are still asleep. Even some of our people that are in the truth, they still sleep because they still out here trying to live the American dream, but they supposed to be awakened. Read on.
For now is our salvation nearer.
What?
Nearer.
Read.
Than we believe.
It's near, Israel. The time is coming. Our people, we don't know when Yahweh is going to crack that sky, but it's time for our people to wake up, come back to their true nationality, pay attention to the signs and the time to see what's happening out here. Let's get 1 Corinthians 15 and 34. Go ahead.
The book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 15 and verse 34.
Awake. What?
Awake.
This is the Bible once again telling our people to awake, man. Read.
To righteousness.
To what?
To righteousness.
This is what we're trying to get our people to wake up to. We're trying to get y'all to wake up to the righteousness of the Most High. See, the reason y'all still sleep because y'all haven't accepted y'all nationality. Y'all haven't accepted that the Most High God is your God and none else. Y'all haven't accepted who you truly are in this Bible. So since you haven't accepted that, you still sleep. Read on our.
And sin not.
And do what?
And sin not.
We're trying to raise our people out of sin. This is the thing. We're trying to get y'all to come out of sin now. What's going on? We're trying to get our people to come out of sin. We need to get this thing together. But guess what? Israel do not like order. You do not like rules. And it shows time after time after time. We've been in 7 captivities because we would not keep the laws of the Most High God. Read on up.
For some have not the knowledge of God.
Some of y'all won't accept the knowledge of God. The knowledge of God is these laws, statutes, and commandments, man. And this is the only thing that's gonna guide our way through the life. But y'all don't want to live this life, because what does the Bible say? He who loses his life for my sake has just found his life. So when we lose our life for the Most High and His Son, we just found the life that we're supposed to be living. That's right. Read on out.
I speak this to your shame.
To your what?
To your shame.
We speak this to your shame because it's a shame that you won't accept who you are. It's a shame that you won't accept your God. It's a shame that you won't accept your Lord and Savior. It's a shame to see you walking out here up and down the street blind and not accepting the facts of who you really are. That is a problem in Israel right now. Let's go to Ezekiel 12 and 1. The book of Ezekiel, chapter 12 and verse 1. Let me get that with you. Our people are still walking around out here blind, man. Go ahead, Art.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 12 and verse 1.
Read.
The word of the Lord also came unto me, saying, Son of man, thou dwellest in the midst of a rebellious house.
Where do we dwell?
Of a rebellious house.
We dwelling in the midst of a rebellious house. See, before He woke us up to what we truly are and what we're supposed to be doing at this point, He let us know before we stepped out there on that block that we was going to be dealing with a rebellious house, that we was going to be dealing with people who didn't want to keep His laws, statutes, and commandments. We got to get this together. A lot of our people are right now fighting when all they got to do is be obedient. Read on.
Which have eyes to see.
Which have what?
Which have eyes to see.
Read.
And see not.
Because y'all don't see all the things that are going on with our people out here. You can't look around and tell in every city and every state, we on the bottom, we in the hood, we around all the gun, the dope, and the drugs, we around the drug houses. The police can bust them, but they don't because they want to keep you in a docile state of mind. Our people steady blind to the fact that you need to wake up. You can't see our children out here being kidnapped and killed, and they keeping their organs. You can't see that. You can't see that they raising us up in a dumb white supremacy school education and still not teaching our people that they were royalty before they got here in slavery. Read on.
They have ears to hear. They have ears to hear.
Read.
And hear not.
But they don't hear what's going on around them. Y'all got ears to hear. But y'all hear not these scriptures. Y'all hear not these laws. Y'all don't hear what's going on out here. You're not paying attention what's happening down in Venezuela. You're not paying attention what's happening to our brothers that are spread throughout the four corners of the world. You're not paying attention. They still doing slavery in the Middle East. And y'all still not paying attention. Read on,
For they are rebellious house.
For they are what?
Are rebellious house.
Israel, if you don't wake up, you're going to die here with the rest of these wicked nations. It's time for our people to come and wake up out of sleep. And the reason why we just can't get it, let's go to Proverbs 1. And we're going to start at verse 1. Let me get there with you. That's the thing, man. Our people don't want to accept who they are. But if you accept who you are, you accept your royalty. You accept your blood lineage. You accept what type of pedestal that the Most High God has set his children on. But y'all don't want that. Read that for me, y'all.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 1 and verse 1.
Read.
The Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David,
Read.
king of Israel.
Read on.
To know wisdom.
You don't want to get to know wisdom. That's the problem. Y'all don't want to accept the fact that the wisdom is in this Bible. And it's going to take your obedience or you will not get it. Read.
And instruction.
And what?
And instruction.
Israel don't want to follow no instruction. They want to live their own life. They want to walk their own walk, talk their own talk. But guess what? Your talk, your walk, your wisdom is not going to get you in that kingdom. Read on.
To perceive the words of understanding.
Of what?
Of understanding.
They can't perceive the word of understanding because they won't be obedient to God's laws, statutes, and commandments. Read.
To receive the instruction of wisdom. Justice.
Read.
And judgment. And equity.
And equity. And fair-mindedness. See, when you are a leader, you have to learn how to be fair-minded. You have to learn how to break things down from both sides. See, if you was really a leader, this oppression would be pissing you off right now. Surely oppression make a wise man mad. But all these gifts that the white man give you have destroyed your heart. Food stamps, Section 8. Oh, he's a friend of mine. Your friend wouldn't put you on a slave ship, lock you up, let you defecate and urinate on yourself, have babies, and then rape you, the men, women, and children. Right. Your friends would not do that. Read.
To give subtlety,
a refinement of thought. We trying to refine your mind, just like if we found an old rusty spoon and we cleaned all the blemishes and all the rust and we cleaned it all off and made it look shiny again. We trying to refine your mind. We trying to clean all this evilness off your mind, all this wickedness. We trying to clean what the white man has taught you off your mind and put what's supposed to rightfully be in your mind, which is God's Bible. Read on.
To the simple.
To the what?
To the simple.
To the simple, because y'all simple-minded. Our people know smoking will give them cancer, but they still smoke. Our people know that getting high kill your blood cells in your brain and kill brain cells, but they still get high. That's being simple-minded. Read.
To the young man, knowledge and discretion.
Knowledge and what?
Knowledge and discretion.
Discretion, carefulness, prudence. See, it gives us knowledge, it gives us discretion. We be careful about the way we do things. We know how to weigh things out. We know how to examine every situation. But Israel don't know how to do that. Israel don't know how to do that because they won't accept who they are. We've been beaten. We've been broken. We've been broken down. But our people have a hard time accepting their nationality. Read on out.
A wise man will hear.
A wise man will what?
Will hear.
A wise man will hear. When the Bible speaks and says a wise man will hear, he's really saying a wise man will understand. Read.
And will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsel.
Shall attain unto what?
Wise counsel.
A man of understanding is going to make sure he's attaining unto wise counsel. What is that counsel that we attain to? God's laws. This is our wisdom. So we let the Bible give us wise counsel. That's why I say surround yourself with wise men. Right. Men that are men of the Most High God, men of the Lord. Why? Because you will get fed from these men, because these men are trying to wake their people up, bring their people back to reality, bring their people out of bondage. Get some understanding. Read on.
To understand a proverb.
To understand a what?
A proverb.
To understand a proverb. To understand a wise saying. Read.
And the interpretation.
And the interpretation of that proverb. Read on.
The words of the wise.
The words of the who?
The words of the wise.
Read.
And their dark sayings.
You know why these sayings are so dark to some of our people? Because they won't wake up. So they don't get this understanding. So it's dark to them. They blinded from what this Bible is really giving them. And accepting your nationality is a big part of this, man. Let me see this Babylon Timbuktu right quick. Let me find it right quick. I want to make sure I'm on the right track. Page 120. Read this for me out right here and right here.
The book Babylon to Timbuktu, page 123.
Read.
In another example, the persecution of the black Jews in Portugal.
They say the black Jews, but we are the Hebrew Israelites. Read on.
Was so ruthless and frequent that Cecil Rock tells us the Jews did not divulge to their children the secret of their religion.
They wasn't telling their children the secret of our law, statutes, and commandments because they was in captivity at the time. And they didn't want their children to die out here trying to keep God's laws. Read.
Until they had attained the age of reason.
Until they had attained the age where they could have discretion, prudence, understand how they could be careful in doing what they need to do. Like right now, we keep the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of our ability.
Right.
So that's what they taught their children when they was able to understand discretion. Read on.
The Hebrew religion is such that if you deny your religion,
if you deny your God's law, statutes, and commandments, read,
you will eventually deny your nationality.
You'll deny what?
Your nationality.
That's what happened to our people. They have denied God's laws. So they have pushed away who they truly are. Read on.
The sociologists and psychologists know, and history has proven that if you deny your culture,
as we've been denied our culture, he took us away from who we was really are with what? Jeremiah 17:4. We've been separated from our heritage. Now, when we got separated from that, guess what? Our nationality started to change over and over again. Now that we trying to teach our people who they are, it's hard for them to accept it. They deny that they are the kings and the princes of the earth. Why would you want to deny that? Read on.
If you deny your culture.
If you deny your what?
Your culture.
If you deny your heritage, read.
And nationality. Over a long period of time.
Read.
You will totally forget through a process of assimilation.
You'll totally forget who you are. Totally forget who you are. Let me see that. The process of taking in and fully understanding information or ideas. That's what assimilation means. So you lost it all. And now that people trying to bring it back to you, you don't even want it back. Let's go to Psalms 119, 104 right quick. Go ahead,
The book of Psalms, chapter 119 and verse 4.
104.
Verse 104.
Read.
Through thy precepts.
Through the precepts, through the scriptures, through the laws of this Bible. Read.
I get understanding.
I get what?
I get understanding.
How do we get that understanding? By putting in action the things that God has given us to do. Read.
Therefore, I hate every false way.
I what?
I hate every false way.
I thought God didn't hate.
I hate every false way.
God hates every false way. He don't just hate the sinner or he hate the sin. He hates the sinner and the sin.
Right.
Don't get it twisted. We have a just God. Now, give me Deuteronomy 11 and 22 right quick. See what we're dealing with.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 11 and verse 22.
Read.
For if ye shall diligently keep all these commandments, which I command you to do them.
To what?
To do them.
To put them in action. Read.
To love the Lord your God. To walk in all his ways.
Read.
And to cleave unto him.
And to do what?
And to cleave unto him.
So we're supposed to hold on and cleave to this Bible. Read.
Then will the Lord drive out all these nations from before you. And ye shall possess greater nations and mightier than yourselves.
So he said he will move all them from us if we just keep his commandments. Do y'all understand what we done now? Because we are in slavery and we are in oppression under every nation's authority. Read.
Every place whereon the soles of your feet shall tread shall be yours. From the wilderness and Lebanon, from the river Euphrates, even unto the uttermost sea shall your coast be. So
guess what? Us, if we would have kept these commandments, we would have spread throughout the world in rulership. If we just would have did what the Most High said. Read on.
Verse 25. There shall no man be able to stand before you. For the Lord your God shall lay the fear of you and the dread of you upon all the land that ye shall tread upon.
Now, why would you think every nation would fear us? Because the God of heaven and earth got our back. Because the God that created everything that we use today got our back. Read on out.
As he had said unto you.
Read.
Behold, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse.
So he said before us this day an agreement, a blessing and a curse. Read on out.
A blessing if ye obey the commandments of the Lord your God, which I command you this day. And a curse.
Hold on. A blessing. Give me Deuteronomy 28 and 1. So let's see what that blessing was going to be. Go ahead, Al.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
If we would just listen to him, read.
To observe. And to do.
Which means to keep or to obey, read.
All his commandments. Which I command thee this day.
Read.
That the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
So if we just would have did what he said, we would have been set on high above all nations. But we didn't. Read on. Now read on to verse 2.
Verse 2. Verse 2. And all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
So all we had to do was do what he said do, and we would have been blessed. Let's go back. 11 and 28, Deuteronomy.
Verse 28. And a curse.
And a what?
And a curse.
Read.
If ye will not obey the commandments of the Lord your God, but turn aside out of the way which I command you this day.
So he said if you turn aside out of the way, which meaning if you didn't keep his commandments, read on.
To go after other gods.
To do what?
To go after other gods.
That's what happened with Israel. We always wanted to do what everybody else was doing. All these other nations, they was worshiping, idol worshiping gods. Read.
Which ye have not known.
We never knew nothing about these idols. But now we do. Let's see what they cursed. What was the curse? Deuteronomy 28:15.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
Do you know what curse means? Curse means to be devoted to destruction. Do we not look like we have been devoted to destruction? Don't you see it? We in the ghettos. We living in shacks. You take all the lights, all the corner stores, all the fast food runs out the hood, and you got the slave plantation. That's what you got.
That's right.
So if you can't tell that our people have been devoted to destruction just because you see a few rich people around, LeBron James, everybody's high-fiving this brother. But guess what? He just built a school to teach the same curriculum that these other schools teach. So in these schools, guess what they're going to be teaching? White supremacy. They're going to be teaching Christopher Columbus. They're going to be teaching Sam Houston. They're going to be teaching that they came over here and had a good dinner with the Indians, and the Indians shared the land with them. They're not going to tell you that they slaughtered 77 million Native American Indians. They're not going to tell you that. So he built a school to teach young black children, young Israelite children, the same white supremacy we've been learning our whole life. That's a curse. Now, give me Daniel 9:9.
The book of the prophet Daniel, chapter 9 and verse 9. To the Lord our God belong mercies and forgiveness.
So to the Lord our God belongs the mercy and forgiveness. See, you got a way to get your life right, because we got mercy, forgiveness. We got the kingdom. We got salvation. Read on.
Though we have rebelled against him.
We did what?
We have rebelled against him.
We rebelled against the Most High. We rebelled against all the love that he had for us. We rebelled. Read on.
Neither have we obeyed the voice of the Lord our God.
Since we didn't obey that voice, man, we are now in bondage, in captivity, and living in drug-infested neighborhoods, roach-infested neighborhoods, rat-infested neighborhoods. Read.
To walk in his laws, which he set before us by the servants, the prophets.
The who?
The prophets.
So what we doing out there on that corner? We are the prophets. We out there giving you God's word. We letting you know, repent or die. Read on.
Yea, all Israel.
No, just some Israel.
All Israel
Read.
have transgressed thy law.
All Israel is in sin. Read on.
Even by departing, that they may not obey the voice. Therefore the curse is poured upon us.
Therefore the curse is poured upon us. Daniel is prophesying and letting you know that the curses from, read on out.
And the oath that is written in the law of Moses.
The book of Deuteronomy, read.
The servant of God, because we have sinned against him.
So all the curses that was written up in the book of the law of Moses have fell upon the Israelites now. Read on.
And he had confirmed his words, which he spake against us, and against our judges that judged us.
Read.
By bringing upon us a great evil.
A what?
A great evil.
He brought a great evil upon us, Israel. A great evil. I'm going to get off into that in just a second. Read on.
For under the whole heaven have not been done as had been done upon Jerusalem.
So under the whole heaven, ain't nothing been done to no other nation like what has happened to the 12 tribes of Israel. And if you can't, that's why I say you have eyes and see not. Because you cannot say you cannot see the black, Latino, and Native American man, woman, and child out here suffering and oppressed and in captivity and in slavery. You cannot say you don't see that. Read on.
As it is written in the law of Moses, all this evil is come upon us.
Read.
Yet made we not our prayer before the Lord?
Yet we have not repented, man. Read.
Our God, that we might turn from our iniquities and understand thy truth.
So I'm going to ask y'all something. If us breaking his laws put us in this mess, how come y'all don't believe us keeping these laws going to get us out this mess? Y'all don't hear that. Y'all don't understand that. Y'all don't want to accept that. But I'm going to show you something. Give me Luke 21 and 20 right quick. Because they'll come and tell you, oh, that happened back then. That happened back then. No. These things happen at certain time frames. What the Most High said in Deuteronomy didn't happen till later on. Go ahead.
The book of St. Luke, chapter 21 and verse 20. And when you shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh.
So he said, when you see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the destruction thereof is near. Now, let's get that Babylon to Timbuktu, page 84. Go ahead,
The book Babylon to Timbuktu, page 84.
Read.
In the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem.
Did what?
Captured Jerusalem.
Read.
In 70 AD, General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state with great slaughter.
With what?
With great slaughter.
So understand when it says right here, and when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the destruction thereof is near. So 65 AD to 70 AD, that's when we seen Jerusalem compassed with the Roman armies. Read.
During the period of the military governors of Palestine, many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people.
Read that again.
During the period of the military governors of Palestine.
Of what?
Of Palestine.
Read.
Many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people.
I want y'all to know that in Palestine, there were Arabs dwelling there. Arabs were dwelling in Palestine. The original of Palestine were black Arabs. Let's go to verse 21.
The book of St. Luke, chapter 21 and verse 21. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountain.
Flee where?
Flee to the mountain.
He said, let them that are in Judea flee to the mountain. Read on.
And let them which are in the midst of it depart out. And let not them that are in the countries enter therein too.
Now read it from the top again. Verse 21.
Verse 21. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountain.
Now, we're going to go back over here to the book Babylon to Timbuktu. Read that second part.
During the period from Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa.
Where the mountains at?
Fled into Africa.
That's where the mountains was. Over 1 million Jews fled into Africa. Read on.
Fleeing from Roman persecution.
Fleeing from where?
From Roman persecution.
We was fleeing from the Romans killing us and destroying us. Read on,
And slavery. The slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves.
No, just the slave markets on the west coast of Africa.
Of black Jewish slaves.
The slave markets that were around Africa, those slave markets were full of the black Jew slaves. So I'm going to show you something. Israel sit at the top northeast corner over the top of Africa. So when we fled down, we fled right into the east coast of Africa.
That's right.
And we spread it throughout Africa. So it wasn't just the west coast of Africa. It was also on the east coast of Africa where our people fled to also. Now let me throw something else at you. Give me Matthew 2 and 12 right quick. Let's see where they had to take Christ. Go ahead,
The book of St. Matthew, chapter 2 and verse 12. And being warned of God in a dream,
read,
that they should not return to Herod.
This was during the time that Christ was born. So they sent the men out to go look for him, find out where he was. Read on.
They departed into their own country another way.
But since Herod was wicked and he was seeking to kill Christ, they departed into their own country. They went around another way. They never went back to Herod. Read.
And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying,
read,
arise.
Do what?
Arise.
Read.
And take the young child and his mother and flee into Egypt.
And flee where?
And flee into Egypt.
Because if you come down out of Jerusalem, if you come down, you're going to roll right into Egypt. Egypt going to be going off to the west, but it's right down really in between West and East Africa. It's right there at the top. Read on.
And be thou there until I bring the word. For Herod received the young child to destroy him.
Because he didn't want to lose rulership to the new king. But all these wicked rulers going to lose rulership to the new king. So we can kill that. Now, give me Deuteronomy 32 and 26 right quick. Go ahead.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32 and verse 26. I said, I will scatter them into the corners.
He said he was going to scatter us in the corners. So when he said we was going to be spreaded throughout the world, that's what he meant. So we just don't have people over here in North America and South America. We got people all over. So we still got people over in Africa. We got people up in the Middle East. We got people in India and China who are still being oppressed right now to this day. Read on.
I will make the remembrance of them to cease.
I will do what?
I will make the remembrance of them to cease.
So he said he was going to scatter us and make the remembrance of us to cease. Let's see how the Most High did that. Let me get go to Psalm 83 and 2. Let's see how the Most High worked that out. Yeah. 83 and 2.
The book of Psalms, chapter 83 and verse 2.
Read.
For lo, thine enemies.
Thine what?
Thine enemies.
Read.
Make a tumult.
So God has enemies here. Read on.
And they that hate thee.
And they that what?
And they that hate thee.
It's nations out here that hate the Most High God. And it's nations out here that hate his people. Read.
Have lifted up the head.
Uh-huh.
They have taken crafty counsel.
They have taken what?
Crafty counsel.
They have taken wicked counsel. Read.
Against thy people.
Uh-huh.
And consulted against thy hidden ones.
They are consulted against the hidden ones. They consulted against us because guess what? When he separated us from our heritage, we didn't know who we are, what we're supposed to be doing, who we're supposed to be serving. So we are the hidden ones that don't know who they are. Read on.
They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation.
He said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation. Read.
That the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
That's how it happened. The remembrance of Israel has been brought to naught. That's how it happened. Captivity. Read on out.
For they have consulted together with one consent.
Uh-huh.
They are confederate against thee.
They are what?
They are confederate against thee.
They are confederate. They are working together against us. Read.
The tabernacles of Edom.
Who?
The tabernacles of Edom.
The tabernacles of Edom. Read on.
And the Ishmaelites.
Are united with the Ishmaelites. Read.
Of Moab.
Now understand what I'm saying. The tabernacle of Edom, the so-called white man, have united with the Ishmaelites, the Arabs, and of Moab, the Chinese. Read on.
And the Hagarenes.
The original Egyptians. Read.
Gabal.
An African nation. Read.
And Ammon.
Uh-huh.
And Amalek.
Amalek, the fake Jews. Read.
The Philistines.
Which are the Palestinians. Read.
With the inhabitants of Tyre.
Another African nation. Read.
Assyria also is joined with them.
Uh-huh.
They have hope in the children of Lot.
They have helped the children of Lot, Ammon, and Moab. All these nations have confederate means united. So all these nations have united against God's people. And you never asked yourself a question. Why are we in slavery in every one of these nations? How did we get over to every one of these nations in slavery? We have not asked ourselves these questions. Give me Deuteronomy 28 and 64 right quick. Matter of fact, give me Deuteronomy 32 and 39 right quick.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32 and verse 39.
Read.
See now that I, even I,
Read.
am he,
and
there is no God with me.
There ain't no God with our God. Read.
I kill.
I do what?
I kill.
So the Most High created these things to happen to us because he devoted us to destruction because we was wicked and disobedient. Some of our people are going to go right. They're going to get brought up to get killed because they don't want to be obedient to the Most High. Read on.
And I make alive. I wound.
I do what?
I wound.
So when we was getting slaughtered and getting hung in them trees and getting the skin beat off our back, that was the Most High wounding his people, whooping his people butt. Read.
And I heal.
And I what?
And I heal.
Because guess what? The next coming, he's going to be healing his people. Read on.
Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand.
Nobody can deliver us out of the Most High's hand. We are in agreement with him. We are his children. We don't do right, he deal with us. That's right. We do right, he deal with us righteously. That's what y'all don't understand. So all the things that happened to us came from the Most High. Deuteronomy 28:64.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 64.
Read.
And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people.
So now he's letting you know that he was going to scatter us among all the people. Read.
From the one end of the earth, even unto the other.
Read.
And there thou shalt serve other gods.
They're going to do what?
Serve other gods.
Read on.
Which neither thou know, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known.
No, our fathers didn't know nothing about these other pagan religions and these other pagan deities and idol worship and these other gods. Our forefathers knew nothing of this. Read on.
Even wood.
Even what?
Even wood.
Y'all worship that wood that they hung and killed our Lord and Savior on. Read.
And stone.
And y'all worship Allah. Y'all worship that rock. Y'all know why y'all worship that rock? Because before we went into captivity over here to the Americas, our people was going into captivity to Saudi Arabia, to the Middle East, over there dealing with these Arabs. Read on out.
And among these nations.
And among all these nations, read.
Shalt thou find no ease.
We will not find no ease because they bleed in our feet and our back and our knees out. We are captives to them. Read.
Neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest.
Read on.
But the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart.
A what?
A trembling heart.
A trembling heart. That means you're going to be afraid and worried all the time. Read.
And failing of eyes. And sorrow of mind.
And worry of mind. Read.
And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee. And thou shalt fear day and night.
So in this situation, our lives hung before us. And I'm going to show y'all some as we go through this. That Arab slave trade was worse than the American slave trade. Read on.
And thou shalt have none assurance of thy life.
None. We had no assurance of our life. We didn't know whether we was going to die the next day or the day after. Read.
In the morning thou shalt say, would God it were even? And at even thou shalt say, would God it were morning?
We just saying, I hope I make it to the next day. I hope I make it to the next day. Oh God, I hope I see tomorrow. That's what was happening. Read on. For
the fear of thine heart, wherewith thou shalt fear. And for the sight of thine eyes, which thou shalt see.
Give me that Black Holocaust, page 37 right quick. Let's see where you at. Page 37. Right here, read that.
The book, The Black Holocaust, page 37. Castrated males, August and Enoch, were central to familial peace.
Read on.
Protection and order in many wealthy Muslim households. Enochs were considered to so valuable that they sold for almost 10 times more.
So if they castrated a slave, which they was cutting the penises and the scrotums off of our boys and off of our men to bring them as their slaves because they did not want us sexing with their wives and their daughters. So they was fully cutting us to the bone. Read on out.
Sold for almost 10 times more than non-castrated male slaves.
So understand, they sold 10 times more. So I'm gonna drop down. Read that right quick. Start it eventually.
Eventually, the craft of surgery became profitable. Hallmarks of Coptic priests throughout Upper Egypt, the Sudan, and Ethiopia.
Understand something. They was paying doctors a lot of money to go ahead and castrate the children, the boys, and the men, so they could get a big lump for them. But I'm gonna show you something that was killing them. Read on out.
They would amputate the scrotum and penis of 8 to 12-year-old.
How old?
8 to 12-year-old Israelite boys so completely that it would cause leveling with the abdomen.
It was called leveling with the abdomen. That means they were smoothing them out. If that's not bad, man, I don't know what is. Sorry,
Page 38. Imagine the trauma, pain, screams, infection, confusion of Israelite boys crying for their mother, father, brother, sister, grandmother, somebody to come and rescue them from this nightmare.
Understand what was going on. The Most High wasn't playing no games with his people. I'm gonna show you something. Give me hold that. Give me Deuteronomy 28 and 60. Let me show you something.
The book of Deuteronomy.
Start at 59.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 59.
Uh-huh.
Then the Lord will make thy plagues wonderful.
Make them what?
Wonderful.
So he was gonna make the plagues worse. Read.
And the plagues of thy seed, even great plagues.
And the plagues of thy what?
And the plagues of thy seed, even great plagues.
Because understand, when they was castrating our young men, they was getting diseases. They was getting infections. Read on.
And of long continuance.
Of long continuance. That means it was going that pain would last long. Read.
And sore sickness. And of long continuance.
Read on.
Moreover, he will bring upon thee all diseases of Egypt. Which thou wast afraid of.
Read.
And they shall cleave unto thee.
They shall what?
And they shall cleave unto thee.
Because when they cut these brothers' penises off, if they live, they wasn't getting no penises back. Read on.
Also, every sickness and every plague, which is not written in the book of this law, then will the Lord bring upon thee until thou be destroyed.
These things were going to be brought up on our people until we be destroyed. So this is the first thought of us going off into captivity. If y'all don't remember, in the story where Joseph's brothers turned against him, they sold him to some Ishmaelites. So they've been dealing around in the slave thing for a long time now. Let's go back to Black Holocaust.
And if you survive, imagine growing into manhood with confused sexual urging.
With what?
Confused sexual urging.
Because you got little boys that want to have sex with a woman but can't. So guess what they're going to do now? They're going to be homosexuals. These are the things that they brought up on our people. Read on now.
That he had to be sublimated into busy details of the daily life of your master's woman.
Man, read on.
His business and his political affairs.
All right.
The beastly act of castrating Israelite boys was part of the Muslim slavery.
Was what?
Was part of the Muslim slavery.
So this was in connection with the Muslim slavery. So if you came over there to the Middle Eastern slavery, the first thing you had to go through was castration. These were not separate. Read on.
From as early as the 900s AD, thus for 1,000 years, hundreds of thousands Israelite Agais were castrated. This impacted not only them, but upon the men and women they served.
Read.
Centuries of enslaving Africans left the Arab trader a cold and hollow person, who either through a natural birthright or centuries of intermarriage, often of Israelite descent himself. Even so, he and his cohort saw the enslaved Israelites as no more than a sex slave, a sex slave, or two-legged oxen or cow.
So we was just animal. We was livestock. That's all they seen us for. Was that the end of that? Read on.
Cheap beasts of burden or pleasure.
Man.
And there were plenty more where they came from.
So understood something. They didn't have to have you. So if you came in there acting a fool, they killed you. Just go get another one. It's just like a cow. It's got bad meat, kill him, go get another one. That's what they treated us like. This was not an easy walk for Israel. Since we were hard-headed, the Most High said, since you want to follow other gods, I'm going to let you have other gods. And this is what happened to our people. I'll read that. Jump over here.
Page 39. The Arab slavers who go inland and raid at nightfall, just as the villagers were having their communal dinner, those who resisted or tried to run away were shot.
Well, what?
Were shot.
So they was killing us off the muscle. They was coming into our land, catching us while we was sitting down having dinner, and killing us if we ran. Read on. When
the Arabs encountered more warlike Israelites, they used the divide and conquer method.
Read.
The Arabs would stir up conflict between two groups, then lend their support to one group over the other. The Israelite victors traded their captives for Arab trinkets, beads, and cloth.
So that we was used as what you would call trading mechanisms. They would trade us for something of value. Somebody would need a slave, but they would have to give them something of value for you. So you was basically being put in the pawn shop. Read on.
The Arab caravans of enslaved Israelites grew. The Arabs would kill most of the adult men because they had resisted and would most likely continue to resist.
So if they see you was rebellious, they would go ahead and kill you. So you wouldn't have to worry about being, because they felt like you was going to be rebellious the whole time. Well, he's already being rebellious. Kill him now. A lot of our people died during this slave trade. Read.
Their deaths served to put fear in the hearts of the living.
When they killed them, that was to put fear in the ones that's living. Does that remind you of something? The Willie Lynch letter, where they was killing our people in front of the rest of them. They would take the biggest and the strongest of the men and kill him. In Jamaica, they would take him and have sex with him. Read on, right?
The slavers would take enough captives so that a good number would survive for selling.
Read.
They were then divided into smaller, more manageable groups which set out on different routes back to the coast. The captives were forced marched all over the countryside as the Arab slaver gathered more captives. Young men, women, and children of all ages were bound by hand. Either with hemp or leather.
Read on.
Which grew tighter as time went on. And by neck yokes to each other and forced to walk for hundreds of miles through dense forests, savannas, mountains, and waterways.
Because understand something. Walking through that Sahara Desert, we're going to get off into that. Read on.
If they got sick, they were left behind.
What happened?
If they got sick, they were left behind.
If they got sick, they left them to die right where they were. Read.
Often still bound or yoked to another sick or dead person.
Still tied to somebody else, just waiting for death. Read on.
To make matters worse, they were constantly whipped, and all men and women and children were treated as beasts or burdened, carrying loads of ivory and other African treasuries.
Understand that, man. This is a whole another whiff of the slave trade. And that's why, if y'all haven't paid attention, they still treat y'all like slaves. They still treat you very disrespectfully, man. Arabs do not like our people. They might be living up here, and they go out there and they live with the white man. They don't come live down here in the hood where we are. You don't see Puma Sanji walking through here with his wife with her head covered and her dress on. You don't see that in the hood. They don't live by us. The only thing you see out here in the hood is white trash. Because this is where the white folks throw they drug addicts. And they homosexuals. And they lesbians. And they dope heads. This is where they throw them at. Right down here in the hood with us. Where you at? Read on.
In the 1200s, years of Arab slavery, tens of millions of Israelites died before they could even be sold.
They died before they could even be sold, man. I'm gonna show y'all that in just a second. Give me Deuteronomy 28:25 right quick. Let me show you something. Our people, they was dragging our people through the mud, man, like dogs. But guess what? Y'all will go out there and call them your best friend. Y'all will go out there and kick it with them. The Most High got enemies, and the enemies of the Most High are my enemies too. Read on.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 25 and verse 28 and verse 25.
Read.
The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies.
They was killing us. That was on the Most High. He did us like that for our disobedience, for our rebelliousness. Read.
Thou shalt go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them.
Read.
And thou shalt be removed into all kingdoms of the earth.
And that's what happened to our people. Read.
And thy carcass shall be meat unto all fowls. And thy carcass shall be meat unto all fowls of the air.
Read. And
unto the beasts of the earth. And no man shall fray them away.
So our bodies became meat to the animals and beasts. Man, that's cold to watch us go through the same thing time and time again. over and over again just because we were rebellious as hell. That's the reason for that. Now, give me that video out. That first one, 3:15.
Each year, the journey across the desert was, of course, absolutely brutal, and many Africans perished along the way. According to Henry Hamilton Johnston, who was a British explorer, he claims in his book that many slaves would be able to just reach the drinking place and then would sink down and die before the water reached their lips.
And they would sink down and die. I'm going to show you why. That Sub Saharan desert was a 1,500 mile walk. Now, if you walk at a pace where you are walking 4 miles an hour nonstop, it would take you 15 days to walk across that desert. But you know they had to stop. They had to rest. That means it took them time to get across there. But guess what? They walking across a desert. They didn't even supply these slaves water, food, nothing to help them make it across. And they died right there on the desert. That's where it speaks in the book where it says they wasn't even able to sell them because they was dying before they could get them to the merchants. That's cold. Our people don't think about stuff like that. Go page 32. Start right here. Well, you start up here.
The book, The Black Holocaust, page 32. Many of the enslaved Israelites sold unto infamous UGG market were brought from regions far to the west of the lake Tajanaki.
There you go, Tajanaki. Hey, start right here.
During the crossing of Lake Tajanaki, the slaves were made to sit doubled up in the bottom of the canoe. So closely packed.
Wait. Was they not on top of each other in the slave ships on the way to America? Same way they doing us right here. These same curses that happened to this Arab slave trade are the same curses in the North American slave trade, the transatlantic. Read on.
So closely packed that by the time Ujiji was reached, a quarter had succumbed. Although the distance across the lake was scarcely 200 miles.
Man, read on.
Near the slave market lay an uncultivated piece of ground, the cemetery, where not only the dead, but the dying.
Understand this, when they was walking through that Sahara Desert, and they died right there in that Sahara Desert, let's see what happened to them. Read.
2 were cast, hyenas, very numerous, George on human flesh, and were so sated that bodies were left half devoured.
Left what?
Left half devoured.
Because they were so sick and the bodies were so bad, the hyenas would only eat half the body. See how they was leaving out the same thing. Were they not dropping them off the slave ship to the sharks? And letting the sharks, letting them be food for the sharks that was following the slave ships? Were they not doing the same thing? I want you to see how much this has in common. Because this is one slave trade that they never talk about. That's it on that? Okay. Now let's go, give me Deuteronomy 28:68 right quick.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 68.
Read.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt.
To what?
Into Egypt.
Read.
Again with ship.
He brought us right back into bondage by way of slave ship. Read on.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee.
He said, the way I'm telling you it's going to happen, it's going to happen. So we went into slavery on slave ships in the North, in the transatlantic, and we went into slavery on the slave ships in the Sub-Saharan. Read on.
Thou shalt see it no more again.
He said we would never see our homeland no more again. Read.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
Unto who?
Unto your enemies.
When we got to the other side to be slaves, they sold us to the enemy. Now y'all understand how we got in slavery in China, Saudi Arabia, how we got in slavery in Japan, how we got in slavery all up there in the Middle East. Because the Arab slave trade, that's how we got there. Read on.
For bondmen and bondwomen.
For slave men and slave women. Read.
And no man shall buy you.
And nobody was going to be able to change our condition or get us out of that condition but the Most High and His Son. Nobody's going to be able to change that. Give me the book, The Black Holocaust. Yeah.
The book, The Black Holocaust, page 40. Slavery was so institutionalized on the east coast of Africa that one Tanganyikan coastal town was called Bagamoyo.
Bagamoyo. Swahili for lay down your heart. Lay down your mind. It's over with right here. Read on up.
In fact, Bagamoyo was one of the most important slave embarkment ports for those captives destined to Zanzibar.
Zanzibar was where a slave market was. And what did Babylon the Timbuktu say? The slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves. Read on up.
The Arab slave trade's key island.
That's the key island for the Arab slave trade. They went to pick up slaves from Zanzibar. Read on.
Over the 7 centuries, from 900 to the 1600s AD of the early Arab slave trade, hundreds of thousands of Israelites died crossing the Indian Ocean.
Crossing what?
Crossing the Indian Ocean.
Read.
Between Tanganyika, Kenya, Zanzibar. Arab slave ships.
What's that? Tanganyika? Tanganyika is modern day Tanzania. And right above Tanzania in the corner, go ahead and pull that map up right quick, huh? Let me show you something. Use that cursor, go down to Tanzania. That's the modern day Tanganyika. That's Tanzania. That black dot right above that one right next to it, that's Zanzibar. So it took a day to travel from Tanzania to what's that? Zanzibar. To Zanzibar. It took a day to travel from there to there. And when they got there, the Arabs would come and grab them there and take them up to Saudi Arabia and take them up to Iraq and over to China. That's how we got spread throughout the Middle East. Read on up.
Arab slave ships carried 200 to 400 captured Israelites jammed together.
Do what?
Jammed together.
The same situation. Read.
Either on an open deck or below the deck, with no regard for sex or age.
They didn't care about your age. They didn't care about your sex. They put all of them in there. Didn't care if you were sick or nothing. We gonna get y'all over here to sell y'all. Read.
For sanitation or food quality. The trip could take 1 day to reach Zanzibar, or it could take 2 weeks. Either way, there was not enough food or no health support.
So that trip from Tanzania to Zanzibar could take 1 day or 2 weeks, depending on the situation. Read on.
So the loss of Israelites averaged about a half of the original human cargo.
So if they had 400, they would only make it with 2. Read on.
Page 41. It is impossible to be certain, but according to our best estimate, at least 9.64 million Israelite women and 4.75 million Israelite men were sold into Arab slave trade.
And if you notice the number, that it was way more women than it was men. We're going to get to that. Read on.
Some 14 to 20 million Israelite men, women, and children were killed.
Were what?
Were killed.
Did what?
Were killed.
They killed our people. They ain't no better than the so-called white man. And those Arabs over there, they ain't nothing but descendants of Esau. That's right. Because the original Arabs were black. Read on.
Either trying to resist capture or en route to be sold. Waiting to board the slave ships of caravans bound for the Muslim world.
For what?
For the Muslim world.
Read.
After holding pens and dungeons or in the process of being castrated for enough slave doom.
Understand that. They was castrating our young men. Understand that this was more wicked than the transatlantic. At least you got to make it over to the transatlantic. You still had your penis with you. Over here, they cutting you off. Guess why? Because they don't want you dealing with their women. But we're gonna show you something. They was dealing with yours. Give me that video out.
Another primary source of slaves for the Arab world was on the eastern coast of Africa.
Was where?
This is where
the east coast of Africa. Our people were there.
Were in high demand. In general, enslaved African people were used for agriculture, labor, household help, or to be concubines or soldiers.
Or to be concubines. Stop right there. Or to be concubines. Let's check that out. Matter of fact, I'll just let it play out. Let it play out. I'm gonna come back to that.
Evidence of a sizable Indian Ocean slave trade was when large numbers of East African male slaves labored on the plantations of the Abbasid Caliphate.
Those are Israelites.
Slaves exported by Arab traders to Southwest Asia, India, Indonesia, and China worked mainly as soldiers, concubines, and household servants.
They worked mainly as household servants and concubines. Let me show you something. Give me that. Read that for me, y'all.
The book, The Black Holocaust, page 33. Given the reality that the Muslim slave trade was 2-to-1 women to fill the demand for concubines.
2-to-1 women to fill the demand for concubines. Read on.
We can reasonably assume that many of the leaders of the resistance movement among enslaved Israelites were women.
Were what?
Were women.
They mostly were women. So they was taking our women into slavery just to have sex with them and beat on them and whoop them. Read on.
This gives us a new and different perspective on slavery and slave revolt. It was not just about the destruction of Israelite manhood.
Read.
It was also about the destruction of Israelite womanhood.
Of what?
Of Israelite womanhood.
Read.
The availability of concubines, moreover, offered Muslim men and measure a relief from the unhappiness of a marriage that was sexually ungratifying.
So since they was unhappy with their marriage, their wife, the sex wasn't good, they made sure they had enough concubines to make up for what they wasn't getting from their wife. Read on.
Before purchasing a slave whom he intended to use as a concubine, a Muslim man was careful to make sure that she was responsive to his amorous advances.
So he would make sure before he would purchase her, he would take her into his own little personal cave and make sure that she respected him and did what he asked her to do before he took her home and purchased her. Read on.
This could be a man aged in privacy of special stalls that were set aside in slave markets for the close examination of female slaves by prospective buyers.
So he got to try this slave out. He tried him out until he found one that was going to be right for him. Read on.
Here, men would take liberties with these hapless girls, 12 to 18 years old.
How old was they?
12 to 18 years old.
How old was Muhammad's wife? 9 years old? So this raping little girls thing, this is a big thing in the Arab world. So for all you Muslims out there, this is what you worship. Read on.
In a manner they would not dream of when courting a Muslim woman they wish to marry.
So the way they was treating they women slaves, they would never have treated a woman of their own nationality that way. So you got to ask yourself a question to my brothers out here who constantly call out their own sisters bitches and hoes out here, who constantly disrespect them. Guess what? You're going to have daughters one day. What if a man do her that way?
That's right.
Our people got to learn, man. Got to get yourself together. That was the end on that.
Yes.
Give me Joel. Let me show you something else. Because the Bible, you can match history up with the Bible. And it's not that hard. Read it when you get there.
The book of Joel, chapter 3 and verse 3.
Uh-huh.
And they have cast lots for my people.
So they cast lots for his people. They all went into what's that crafty counsel in order to separate us. So guess what? They selling us off now at this point. Read.
And have given a boy for an harlot.
And have did what?
And given a boy for an harlot.
They selling our young men to have sex. Read on.
And sold a girl for wine.
And did what?
And sold a girl for wine.
And they selling the women for drinking, for wine. So we were nothing but trading trinkets between all the nations. Read on.
That they might drink. Yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon?
Tyre and Zidon are both African nations. Read.
And all the coast of Palestine.
Which are the original black Arabs. Read.
Will ye render me a recompense?
Will you pay me back, as the Most High say? Read.
And if you recompense me, swiftly and speedily will I return your recompense upon your own head.
Because a lot of these same nations that we speaking of in the Bible, the African nation, the black Arabs, they have been thrown into captivity themselves. A lot of them are going through the fire right now. If you pay attention to what's going on, you don't see any black Arabs in the Middle East prospering. You see all the ones that are dark skinned or black, they all living down in Sudan, down in the ghetto. Pay attention. Read on.
Because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried unto you your temples, my goodly pleasant things.
Read on.
The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have you sold unto the Grecians.
Have they did what?
Have you sold unto the Grecians.
So guess what? The white people got into cahoots with the Arabs. Since the Arabs started it, they came in a little later and got involved with the same thing. I'm going to show it to you. Read on out.
That ye might remove them far from their border.
That you might remove us far from our homeland. Now, get me that in the Black Holocaust right quick. Page 31. Right there.
The book The Black Holocaust, page 31. The Arab slave trade lasted from 652 AD, Arab-Nubian slave treaty until 1890. It didn't truly end until 1911.
Read on. Wait a minute. It hasn't ended yet. They still doing this thing. They still have the same thing going on. Read on.
Israelites captured in wars by Hamites was sold into slavery for money or things, porcelain, silk, and other fine fabric from the Asia.
From who?
From the Asia.
So where else was we in slavery? In Asia. Read on.
That powerful and corrupt Ham nobility desire.
Man, go to page 36. Just more truth. It's more truth out here. And it's coming out. Read that.
Page 36. The Arabs took advantage of regional wars in Africa to buy captives from the victor.
To do what?
To buy captives from the victor.
That was just the Africans attacking us and grabbing us and selling us to them. Read on.
They used the old divide and conquer technique. They worked one group against the other.
Wait, they used the old divide and conquer technique. So they divided us. They sold some of us off to transatlantic. They sold some of us off into the Middle East. We got spread throughout the four corners of the world. They divided our people and conquered us. Because right now, a lot of us don't know who we are. Read.
They worked one group against the other and took or killed the best and strongest. The Arabs eventually, especially from the 1400s onward, with the help of the ruthless Portuguese.
The who?
The ruthless Portuguese.
That's them fake Jews down in our homeland. The ruthless Portuguese. That's them fake Jews down there. They had help from them. What was the name on all them boats? Those were the ships that was carrying us into slavery. So now they in cahoots with the so-called white man. Read.
Began to raid the coastal towns.
He said they was united and confederate against thee. He said they had taken crafty counsel. Here it is all in a nook. Read on.
Mombasa in Kenya, Kilwa, Somalia, Mogadishu, and also ventured hundreds of miles inland to what we today call Uganda. Malawi, Rwanda, and Rwanda, Burundi, to capture Israelites who were peacefully minding their own business.
We was doing our thing. And I'm going to show you something. We was peacefully minding our own business, but the thing about it was, read this right here for me, y'all. Let me show you what was going on. Start right here.
The book Babylon the Timbuktu, page 90.
Read.
The Jews imported into western part of Africa.
So we got down into Africa because I just proved to you was on the east and the west. Read.
A superior material, educational, and moral culture soon after 300 AD.
So we came with our own knowledge and the things that the Most High gave us. Read.
And this cultural advancement was not duplicated or exceeded until the ascendancy of the Mahamian leader Mansa Kankan Musa of Mala in 1312 AD.
Drop down right here.
The black Jews had an advantage over the African tribes.
Wait, we read it again?
The black Jews had an advantage over the African tribes.
So the Africans did not want us in their land. So they was rounding up, selling us into slavery. This is why. Read.
They carried their culture, history, laws, and written records with them.
They did what?
They carried their culture, history, laws, and written records with them.
We had everything with us and our laws. Read.
This assured them a constant precedent for the development of a higher social organization.
Why did it do that? Because the Most High gave us our knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. So we stood out. Read.
Because of the stability of the black Jewish culture, the Jews were not absorbed into autochthonous population. Autochthonous population. In fact, the Jews absorbed some of the native tribes.
Read.
The Jews made use of every opportunity. They were an industrious and skillful people.
Read.
In the Jewish Ghanaian states were found kings, princes, governors, generals, secretaries, treasurers, revenue agents, judges, architects, engineers, doctors, historians, language interpreters, mathematicians, jewelers, sculptors, masons, carpenters, painters of art, goldsmiths, leather workers, potters, armorers, saddlers, blacksmiths, agriculturists, etc.
Understand something. When we go and set up something, we could go set up a whole nation.
That's right.
All the businesses we wanted to set up. And we had kings and princesses, and we had a whole nation setting up businesses. So the Africans did not want us there. We was taken from them. So the best thing they could do was what? Round us up. Sell us off into slavery. That's the cold part about it. Now I'm going to show you something. They was trading us leather, ivory. Give me that video, Art. Matter of fact, hold that video. Did you read page 38 in here? In here already? Yes, I did. Okay. Okay, don't worry about it. Let's go to that video, Art. Zanzibar. You seen that little black boy playing out there? There wasn't no Arab.
Human trafficking and ivory trafficking have been linked.
That's where they get picked up to go into the Middle East.
This is an
just off the coast of East Africa.
This is the house of a man named Tip Tip. He was an Arab slave trader and ivory trader operating just 150 years ago here in Zanzibar. It's one of the biggest ivory traders in the world, one of the biggest slave traders in the world. This man was a terrorist. This man trafficked tens of thousands of human beings through this building every year. He trafficked ivory that boggles the imagination. This is ivory.
See those elephant tusks, all that ivory elephant tusks?
Those elephants are gone. We don't call it slave trade anymore. We call it human trafficking.
Human trafficking.
Still
going on right today.
And it still exists today. History has repeated itself. The same places where this man brought slaves and ivory out of Africa is now under siege by rebel groups, by terrorists, by ivory traffickers.
things your people go through, Israel, and y'all still don't have the understanding to see what's really going on, man. They killing our people out here on the daily, and you still don't want to wake up. Pretty soon it's going to be your child, your daughter, your father, your mother. Pretty soon it's going to be somebody that's a part close and dear to your heart that get killed out here by our enemies. Are you going to stay asleep, or are you going to wake up? I'm telling you, Israel, get yourself together and wake up. On that, we say shalom.
Shalom.